Chair. Now recognizes the gentleman from Michigan, the Chair of the Education and Workforce Committee. Mr. Walberg, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the panel for being here today. And as we've read in your testimonies and heard today, NEPA was originally intended to be a tool for stewardship and economic development, not a weapon to block infrastructure and delay economic growth. But over time, it's become a bureaucratic maze, and I'm glad to see this handout today on our desk about that maze, though it's discouraging. One that adds years and millions of dollars to projects that are vital to our economy, our energy security, and our communities, and our taxpayers. Across the country, we're seeing highways and critical energy projects held up for years, not because of environmental harm, but because of paperwork and frivolous lawsuits. Those delays cost jobs, they drive up costs for working families, and slow the very innovations we need to strengthen our economy and our energy grid. We can support responsible environmental review without allowing endless red tape lawsuits to stall the things Americans need and are asking for: affordable, reliable power, good-paying jobs, safe infrastructure. Mr. Campbell, how do prolonged NEPA reviews affect the cost of energy infrastructure and, by extension, utility bills and fuel prices for working families?
So there's really two parts of that, and the temporary chairman talked about that a little bit. First thing is, the longer it goes, the more cost we have. We have cost in the project. It's more so probably there in the length and lengthening out the project, not getting it done, that cost our end consumers more money than the hiring of the attorneys. But there's also another cost. Right now, our industry is overwhelmed with load, and we need generation projects, and we need them right now. We need them built. And if we don't, there will be pain and suffering to the end consumer, because we're going to run out of power in this country in the near future. And that assumes no recession, significant recession, or data center bubble that bursts. We will, within the next number of years, run out of power. We have to have them now. We can't delay the process, because the pain and suffering will be when they don't have electricity.
Yeah, that's reminded to me this summer every time I turn on a specific light switch in my bathroom up in my bedroom, and it takes a while to get to full strength. And I live in the energy district of Michigan with nuclear, gas, coal-fired plants all across the southern portion of Michigan. So I agree with you. Mr. Hergott, the Supreme Court's 7-county decision, which focused on the importance of federal agency deference in the NEPA process, has brought renewed attention to how the law is interpreted and applied. This ruling highlights the ongoing tension between the urgent need to accelerate permitting and the lengthy, burdensome environmental review processes. The 2023 Fiscal Responsibility Act included provisions that get back to the spirit of the original implementation of the law by imposing page and time limits, establishing a lead agency in the NEPA review process, and clarifying the definition of major federal action. It ain't perfect. You've indicated that clearly. But as federal agencies implement these FRA provisions and work to streamline permitting, what are some legislative solutions we could pursue to complement these actions, specifically to speed up the development of energy infrastructure projects needed to support American energy dominance?
Thank you for the question. Very briefly, reasonably foreseeable is a tort law standard dealing with causal link, right? And we're using that in an administrative NEPA case. The fact is, we use opaque language like reasonable and foreseeable, and then we wonder why, when it's interpreted on the outside or by the courts or by those citizen suits, that we have a problem. So the first thing to do is to legislate, is to statutorily codify the 7-county decision, recognizing that that is just one law, NEPA. There's 55 other laws that you can sue under with the downstream theory, recognizing that I like to inject facts into a debate. I know that's difficult sometimes, but the reality here is that That downstream effect was about 600 miles away of what happens at the Gulf Coast, 600 miles away from the project. And it also dealt with the marketing and displacement oil impacts from sales and utilization. That's not something that the Surface Transportation Board or any agency was ever intended to evaluate. So the first thing is putting sideboards on what is reviewable and what is allowable. And then first of all, it's making everything transparent and starting the clock at the beginning of the process, not the end. At that point, we will not have this exhaustive runaway system and where projects are getting better and stronger and the administrative records are getting stronger, and therefore the litigants and the plaintiffs are getting more creative and more funded, and we have what we now have, which is theory for the sake of theory that has nothing to do with project impacts, and we're fighting a rhetorical battle in the courts that is outside and a contravention of what NEPA was ever set out for.
Thank you. I yield back.